Hey, how's everybody doing? It's Mark here. I'm continuing on the maintenance series on my 211 Fatboy Lo. So I thought I'd do this in three parts. I did recently the first part, which was the crankcase or main engine oil change. So just a very quick recap on that. You gotta warm up your engine. Obviously, you gotta get your tools ready in advance. You got to make sure you have a spare O-ring for the drain plug. You need a 1/4 inch Allen head or a 5/8 socket for the drain plugs. All three are the same. You need a spare O-ring for the drain plug just in case, and you need your oil, replacement oil, and this bike takes about 3 quarts, so I would propose that you have 4 just in case. One of the things that you need to do is be careful how you jack the bike and stuff like this. So let's have a quick look. So I assume, like me, many of you won't have a complete bike lift. This is the next best thing actually. You can pick these up on Marketplace for like 50-60 bucks. These are hydraulic jacks, but they have 2 long rails on the bottom. And what you got to do here is, depending on what kind of bike you got to make sure that you rest on both the frame. You got to make sure that you put it far away enough, and you also have to make sure that you use the actual mechanical lock to hold everything in place, not just rely on the hydraulics themselves. So you lift the bike up, and then what I did not do in my previous video, but which is important, is it's best to strap it down as well. So on the soft tails, it's a bit tricky to find the transmission drain plug. It's between the 2 shocks towards the front end of the bike. So you can see about 1/4 from the right hand side or front of the bike. Okay. So it's a 1/4 inch, and you'll need an extension. So this is the kind of tool that I use. I use a 1/4 inch Allen, an extension on a socket. So basically, I also use a small mirror, which looks like this, which is also super helpful. So just a bit of a trick here, because my oil catch pan was so huge, and because I know there's only like 1 liter or 1 quart in the transmission, I used the bottom of a windshield washer container, and I could have made it a bit bigger, but I wanted to also have room to wrench and undo the drain. So the oil coming out of the transmission looked brand spanking new. Then if we look on the, I'm not sure if that can be focused on here, I hope so. If we look on the magnetic drain plug, everything is clean. There's a witness of Teflon tape or something on there, which I will remove. I will give it a spray of brake cleaner, and I will check the O-ring as well. Okay. I should be wearing gloves, maybe. I don't. I have gloves. I don't particularly wear them that often. Some people recommend that you put a little bit of dab of not so much thread sealant, but stuff that's gonna keep things from seizing. I'm not gonna recommend it right now because I can't remember what the product is called. I don't think it's the regular anti-seize stuff. I'm not gonna worry too much about that. I'm gonna change the O-ring. And I'm gonna torque it to the right level. Once you get used to this, you don't really need to go to the torque values, but as a beginner, it's always good to go by the book. This is non-chlorinated brake cleaner, which is good for just a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe it was like a liquid Teflon that the guy had put here in the threads. It's probably not a bad idea. Okay, so clean the drain plug, put a new O-ring on it, use this type of Allen key to, to do this. Always good, to back it up. It kind of finds the thread, then you be sure that you don't cross thread it. It's a good little trick. Back it up until it kind of clicks a couple times and then start going in by hand. Then go in with this type of 1/4 inch Allen driver with an extension on a torque wrench. So the torque is, I believe, 16 to 21 inch-pounds. Do not mix up inch-pounds and, foot-pounds. Let me repeat that. I think it's 16 to 21 foot-pounds, which works out, if you're on the low side, like 16 or 17, it works out to about 20 Newton meters. Because my torque wrench is metric. There's all kinds of translation tables on Google's. You don't have to be a math wizard. You can just Google, inch-pounds or foot-pounds to Newton meters. You're gonna have a little calculator come up. I do that for all kinds of stuff. So I could go with a couple options here. I could go with this stuff here, which I actually am gonna go through. This is a heavy gear oil from Harley-Davidson. I forget who actually makes it, but it's branded Harley-Davidson. It's 80W140. You'll see that with different gear oils. I'm gonna go with that. That's good for transmission and primary. I also have this stuff here, which is Really good stuff. I have used this before and I have a couple left over, but in this case I'll go with the Harley stuff. I have, it's supposed to take 1 quart, which is about 940 something milliliters. I drained my transmission fluid in a very clean and clear plastic container, and I put it back in an old old oil tank so I could kind of see how much I had, and it was just a slightly over 900. I don't really want to overfill it, so I'm going to try to put, again, start off with putting a little over 900. This is actually 1 liter, or I think it's like 1.05 quarts. So I'll stop at about 100 and wait for a bit, and then I'll just check the liquid. For this dipstick, you do not screw it in, and you can check it while the bike is let's call it vertical instead of on its side stand. Okay, so it shows that I have about 100 milliliters left. So I think that's a good place to I was just also checking this this little dipstick over here. I'll also make sure that the O-ring is clean and just lubed a little bit. But for now, let's check to see where we are. All right, it looks like we're right on the money over here. It's hard to focus in on this thing. I guess you'll just have to take my word for it. We are right at the full mark. There's add and then there's full. Just do a check one more time. We are at full. So my guesstimation was right on the money. Let me check this O-ring. Oh, fucking O-ring is shot, man. Fuck. Now, because this is for a transmission, it's really not under any kind of pressure and everything like this. And because I don't have a spare, I'm just gonna kind of give it a cleaning and use it. So you gotta start this thing off by hand. If you had a Allen key with a ball on the end, that might be easier way to start off, but you don't want to damage your nut also. I'm not going with any kind of torque spec here. I'm just gonna snug it up. It wasn't very tight. It doesn't have to be very tight. It's not under a tremendous amount of pressure. So that's the transmission oil change. So thanks for tuning in. The next video, which will be part 3 of 3, will be the primary. I'm going to add a little bit more to it because I'm going to also take the outer primary cover off and have a look at my timing chain and have a look at my compensator and have a look at my my chain guides. Not completely, but at least in the, you know, from a superficial level, I'm going to have a look at that. So it's going to be a little bit more than a primary oil change, but this is the end of part 2 for the transmission fluid change. Thanks a lot.